gosh, can't believe it's already Friday. We do have some jokes prepped for those who are eager to hear some corny jokes generated by ChatGPT. Some of them are worse than others. And some of them we have used in the past, but they're still good. Okay, first pun while we wait for 2 more minutes. Why did the blockchain go to therapy? Because they had trust issues. Oh. How does a crypto trader start their day? With a bite of cereal. If no dad jokes, I'm out. I got you covered, Dirty Miner. What's a vampire's favorite cryptocurrency? Bitcoin, because it's all about the bite. Hmm. Okay, this one's actually pretty good. Why do programmers prefer dark mode? Because the light attracts bugs. Ha ha ha. Oh.
I really like product guys. What about deserialization?
Yeah, it's pretty good too. Someone asked, well, Dirty Miner asked about Do Kwon being one of our investors. Do Kwon is indeed one of our investors. He invested in early 2021, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly. It was obviously way before the Luna Terra situation has happened. So, you know, yes, he is an investor. But, he was definitely like the good persona of crypto back in the day. When everyone liked him. Yeah, exactly. All right. I think we can get started. So thank you so much for joining this. Again, we do these every month. We do them so that you guys can ask questions directly. We can answer them in real time. However, we're always here in Discord. At least one person is basically here. I think like in coverage, we're almost here like 24/7. So if we don't see your question right away, you can just wait, or you can kind of see if other people in the community can answer them for you. But yeah, we're basically always around, but this is your time to ask questions directly. So again, we do these every month to give the community more exposure on what IF Labs is working on, what's the progress for the project, what are some of the other things that are happening in the future, what are the partnerships that are happening, what is our kind of general direction. So, this is we're all about transparency. Again, even though we do these once a month, everything we do is out in the open. So if you're ever curious about what the team is working on at this moment in time, our GitHub is fully open source. Our process is pretty standard. Feature PRs go into the staging branch. The staging branch rolls into master. A new update to master basically means a new release. So that's why you may see things going into master at a more rare cadence than things going into staging. So if you want to see live, like basically live work, check out the open PRs as well as the commits that are going to stage and branch that are going to be available the next update. Okay, cool. So we have a lot on the agenda today. So I'll kind of go over the general agenda that we have going for you, and then various members of the team are going to be talking about those different categories. So in this monthly update, we're going to be going over the work that has been done so far. And this is the work that has been done the previous release, as well as this upcoming release, as well as everything in between. We are going to be talking about some future releases. So Joe from our team is going to be covering that. We are going to be talking about some of the mining pool conversations that we've been having, obviously our announcements. We're also going to be covering some of the partnerships that we've already had and some of the partnerships that we're going to be having in progress. We're also going to be covering our social efforts, and we're also going to be covering some of the foundation updates as well. So with that, I'm gonna give it to Derek to talk about the work that has been done so far. Where is Derek? Oh, Derek is not here.
He looks like he's in the audience. There we go.
How do we promote? Oh, okay, great. Yes, perfect.
Okay, gotta unmute in the recording, and good to go. Okay, so we've added a new engineer to the team, Andrea, in the past couple weeks, and he's written some great introductory blog posts on elliptic curve cryptography in the past. They actually were part of our introductory material for new hires too. So if you search Andrea Corbellini and elliptic curve cryptography, you'll probably find those, and so those are pretty cool. We're excited to have him contribute to some of our core cryptography code and anything else. In the past 2 weeks, as he's been ramping up, he published our Rust code to a crate on crates.io, and so that'll allow people who want to integrate with like the core transaction signing logic to do so easier. An example of this is like mobile wallet creators. Like I think Fox Wallet had to go through this process manually. They had to kind of like pull out our Rust code and build it manually into an iOS app to make it possible. But publishing it as a library makes it much more straightforward. So that's awesome, and looking forward to good things from Andrea going forward. Aside from that, we've been focusing on a couple different areas. One of those is performance optimization. Zero knowledge proofs by their nature involve a lot of complex math, so they're pretty slow, but we want to do what we can to speed those up. So we've been working on a branch to switch from Bellman to Bellperson and switch the underlying cryptography library to something that's a bit speedier. We have a branch called Blasters, which is in progress right now. So far it's shown like a 70% improvement on transaction verification time and about 20% improvement on transaction creation time. And there might be room for more optimizations in the future, but Matt's been spending a lot of effort testing that out. We, at this point, want to make sure we're really confident that it won't accidentally break something or cause any sort of like forking or any lack in backward compatibility with the previous libraries. So we're putting a decent amount of effort into testing it, but it's getting pretty close. We've, I think, chatted with a few pools to make sure to have them like run it and test it out a little bit, and it should be ready to go soon. Daniel's been working on adding a change to our mining manager that will start mining on an empty block while the transaction aggregation process is ongoing. So basically, it takes a little bit of time to put together all the transactions that go on a block, and it also takes a bit of time to create the miner's fee transaction. If you don't have any transactions on a block, the amount for the miner's fee transaction can be known, so you can pre-create it and save the time it would take to create it like on the fly. So basically, you get to start mining like immediately on the next block, and this helps reduce the chance that some different block is found while you're creating the new like subsequent block. So it should reduce like orphan rates and forking even more when people are using it consistently. Matt's also been investigating worker pool performance a bit. We're looking to see if running like our long-running tasks, running them in Rust natively instead of JavaScript will get us much. We definitely know for sure to improve memory usage as you scale up to multiple like cores and multiple threads on machines. And since we have seen that you get pretty decent performance improvements from running machines with higher numbers of cores, I think that could be useful to reduce like memory pressure on machines with lots of cores. Also, I've been working on reducing like unnecessary memory allocations in the serialization layer. There's a lot of places where you're copying memory around a bunch and using a little bit too much there. So generally, we're just trying to make things faster, reduce kind of like transaction creation time, verification time, block creation time, and we're going to be focusing on that over the next few weeks as well. Additionally, we've been working on building out our metrics a little bit more so that we can actually track if our changes are having an improvement. We have added stats to stats.ironfish.network to track chain database size. That should be out now, or it's very close to being out. Tracking like orphan rate, so the number of like forks in the given like past hour of time. We're working on tracking like pool latency, just to see if that's like a useful stat to keep track of. The Block Explorer should have average block size added too. And we're also in the Block Explorer now tracking like pending transactions. So if transactions have been submitted to the network, but they haven't been added to a block yet, they should show up as soon as our API node sees them in the Block Explorer. And you can also find fork blocks in the Block Explorer now. I think Daniel just got in a change to allow searching to find those. A while ago, there was an issue where certain transactions would then end up invalid, and basically this would kind of materialize by you'd see transactions expiring without actually ending up on a block. And one of the causes of this was the way that spends were created on transactions. They weren't taking in mind like the confirmation range. So a confirmation range basically means like you only consider like transactions as part of your wallet after there's been a few blocks created on top of where the transaction exists on the chain. And so the spends were always being created right on the head on the most recent block. So if we had any sort of forking, then the transactions would end up invalid. So Hugh worked on a fix for that. It was a decently technical change, so he got some fun experience with the Merkle tree as well. But yeah, excited to get that out as well. We've also been spending a decent chunk of time just making various RPC changes and trying to help people who are integrating with us. If anybody is interested or trying to integrate with us and needs some assistance from our team, feel free to reach out either in Discord or filing a GitHub issue. We're happy to assist with that. But yeah, I think since we mentioned this, I think around when we launched mainnet too, but since our RPC layer hasn't really been tested by like a bunch of people building on top of us yet, we're finding kind of like gaps and improvements that we can make both in like performance and in the data return. So we're making changes to those and trying to help people get set up as needed. And another thing we've been working on, we've been putting a decent amount of resources into finishing up our Node app itself. So next up, Joe is going to do a little demo of the Node app and talk a bit about how that's been going.
Well, thanks, Derek. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the Node app today. I'll actually be sharing my screen, and we can do a walkthrough of exactly how this is working currently. This is a live demo, so if there are issues, just hang in there with me. But I ran through this test ahead of time, and we should be able to see the general features that will be available in the Node app. So I think you guys can see my screen. I tested this earlier. The first screen that I have up here is just to, reflect that this is actually a full node that's running in like an application that's running on your computer. You can see that we have like a bunch of peers connected like you would the CLI based node. And we have traffic going in and out, which are, for sending transactions, receiving and sending blocks. You have like the ability to control your node to some extent through here as well, and see how much resources of your system are being used for the node. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have a status for our node. Currently, it's idle, meaning that we have the blockchain synced and all of our accounts are viewable. And so if anything is happening that like you should be aware of, this will generally change down here in the bottom left-hand corner, whatever page you're on, and it will let you know what's happening with your node. So the main thing, obviously that the blockchain handles is the accounts. So we have our privacy accounts here. Each of these are a separate account. I'm sure if you guys have used the CLI, there is an example of the accounts that are being used. We have both spending accounts and view-only accounts. So in this case, I have an account with about an iron in it, and we actually have some iron that was sent. This is actually like true mainnet transactions that are happening, and all the accounts that have individual transactions that are listed with them. This would be similar to the Ironfish wallet transactions command, so that you can view what they were sent, where they were sent, how much, and what the memo was. And you could see that these transactions actually for this, I have some recent ones that were sent over the past couple days that I've been testing with this account. This account is actually a spending account, so I can send or receive. If we go back, this is a view only account, and we're only allowed to receive or to give someone the public address to send us money or to view the transactions that have occurred. So we can, if we want to, let's go to this empty account. This one is, you can actually see that we can export the account via the keys. Like this is just a mnemonic phrase that is 24 words. We can export that, or we can export as JSON or Bec32 encoded accounts. We can also delete this account from our node if we want to as well. The last thing, I guess, is like, how did these accounts get here? Well, if you were running a node for Ironfish already, this should just populate all the accounts that you had on your previous node, because actually the node that was running via the CLI is the exact same node that's running back end of this application. So it should be seamless between the two. If you list the commands or the status, they should look the same, whether you're using the CLI or the node app. You can create accounts, new accounts. So if we create a new demo account, we can just basically you would want to save this mnemonic phrase, obviously, so that this is like your backup for your new account. And we can create this account here, and any new transactions that are received here will end up showing up. And you can see that this account is now, we saw this change in the status here. This account says it's being synced. And so we're basically trying to see if there are any historical transactions that exist for this account. For this case, there certainly won't be, because it's a brand new account. The import works similarly. You can just input either the encoded key you get out of your CLI, mnemonic phrase that you backed up, like we just said, or some file that you exported as well. Let's see, let's get my list here. So if we actually look at one of these accounts, you can see that the transaction actually says it was sent to view only. This is actually like rendering some address that I've saved in my address book. So I saved this view only address. And so anywhere that I actually transact with the view only by sending or receiving, I will actually, instead of displaying this address, it will display the view only. So this is a way of like kind of keeping contacts like you would in your phone or in your bank account. So the receive is very simple. All it is a page that you can display your public address. You could copy and share this. Someone can send you funds via this amount. You can choose any of these accounts to do so. The more interesting one is the send, which we actually can send funds. So we can actually test this out. So if we want to send funds from our test account, then let's send it to that view only account. We can select whatever accounts we want to send from or to. If we don't have the funds to do so, it'll tell us that we have an error because we don't have funds available for it. So we'll send from the test account to the view only account. And our estimated fee is based on the standard network latency that's happening or how many people are transacting. So this value may change. Currently, it's a very low fee rate. But if we add a value of 0.1, well, 1 OR that we want to send to the view only account, we could say, I want to send this live demo test. Once we send this transaction, we can view the transaction information here, and we can see that there's currently no block hash, which makes sense because this is a transaction we just propagated out to the rest of the network. The transaction hash is here. And we can see that we took from our account and split the data, and we actually sent some of the iron to the view only, and then sent the rest back to ourselves. I think that pretty much covers most of the application. Obviously we can switch between light and dark mode, but all the rest of the stuff I think we have covered. you see that this is still pending because we haven't actually confirmed the transaction is coming in yet. All right, I think that is it. I'll go ahead and stop my screen share, and I guess the only other update that I was going to give as well is that we're currently in the future month or so we're going to release actually CLI the CLI tool, like the Ironfish node, instead of having to install from npm and getting node working, we'll actually be releasing just an executable. So if you're on Windows, it'll be an exe you can run from your CLI directly. On Mac. It will be on Mac and Linux. It will be just a standard binary, and those will be pre-compiled, so you shouldn't have to do any install yourself. You can just download and run them immediately and be up and running with your node. That's it for the updates from my side. I think Matt had a little something to say about some updates as well.
Thanks, Joe. That was a fantastic demo. But yeah, I just want to reiterate some of the stuff we're continuing working on is we have a huge focus on just performance and optimization right now. We've heard from many of the fine folks who are integrating with Ironfish that they would like things to be faster, and so we're spending just a ton of time thinking about this, researching, looking into it. As Derek mentioned, we have some pretty big stuff coming, and we're going to continue researching and finding as much as we can. I've personally been focused on just overall node performance, but we also have identified some performance improvements around like the peer network, and like mining. Obviously, Daniel's been working on. So this has just been a huge focus for us, and I just wanted to reiterate that. And I will go ahead and pass it off to Elena.
All right. So next up is Evan, who's going to be talking about some of the mining pool situation. Evan?
Thanks, Elena. So covering the mining pool situation, let's put the bottom line up front. Decentralization matters quite a lot to us, right? It's been the driving force behind all of our decisions. It's the driving force behind the whole project. I'll even say it again to underline it. Decentralization matters a lot to us. So to that end, we highly encourage miners to choose pools that have less hash power, but competitive payouts. I'd love to call out Strong Bob's excellent analysis of mining pool payouts elsewhere in the Discord. Thanks 100 million, Strong Bob, for putting that together. It's really cool to see, and it's really important, and it's on the community to choose who they mine with, and that's what decentralization is about, right? If the community chooses where to mine, the community can achieve decentralization. So that's our ask to you. We're aware that FPGAs are entering the mining game. That's field programmable gate arrays for those familiar. That's not at all the same as ASICs. We don't have any evidence right now that it's making any difference in hash power whatsoever. You can check out mining pool stats or any other stats page to track that yourself if you like. It's also worth noting that unknown hash power is currently hovering around 50%, and equally, we have no evidence at this time that this is from any known pool. So, to repeat myself, we would love to ask miners to choose pools that have a minority hash rate, but competitive payouts. And this will increase the decentralization of the network, which matters to us, it matters to you, the community, and it matters to the network health. And that's it for me.
Awesome. Just to add a few more words. We did make an announcement yesterday about some of the mining pool activity that we're seeing. Again, decentralization means a lot. So if you're a miner and you're considering mining, there are tons of pools that are supporting Ironfish, and we encourage people to choose pools that have less ownership of the overall hash power. There's also been a lot of talks about FPGAs and ASICs and whether or not the team is going to be moving away from this current algorithm to the next, and what are the considerations there. We want to hear from your community first. So the next section is actually going to be about some of the foundation stuff that we're doing in terms of hearing your voice. So I guess I'm going to mess up our agenda a little bit. I'm going to talk about some of the foundation updates first. So by next Thursday, we are going to be officially launching our proposal and grant process. And we're going to be explaining in a lot more detail what that means. We're going to explain a lot more in detail what the governance means. The proposal process is exactly that. So if you're a member of the community and you want to voice out why Ironfish should or should not switch to a particular algorithm, we're going to make a place for actual, research and arguments, to like pro and con against certain algorithm or certain update. There are, again, a lot of pros and cons in terms of switching algorithms or not. There are certain algorithms that are CPU friendly, that are not memory hard, and that gives you advantage in terms of making sure that devices with lower power can actually validate blocks. If you choose an algorithm that's memory hard, you kind of take that away in certain sense. Right now, we are definitely not seeing any ASIC activity. So anyone who is kind of saying that is misinformed. We have seen websites that claim they have ASICs for Ironfish that are just SHA-256 ASICs, which is not the algorithm for Ironfish. There have been some FPGAs, but FPGAs currently are not that much more effective than GPUs. So the fact that FPGAs are kind of entering the system is not a huge concern at this moment in time. And again, there's been a lot of discussions in the mining channel as well as the general channel by quite a ton of people who are more familiar with mining, the ASIC community in general. And so if you're curious about some of the opinion pieces that have been going around, please join the mining channel and start that conversation with some of the current miners of Ironfish today. Okay, cool. So next, I am going to be covering some of the partnerships. We have released a Fox Wallet Spotlight that is on our website, so you can read the spotlight about Fox Wallet and hear more about their opinion of Ironfish and how they aim to support it. We also have released an ecosystem page. You can go check that out on ironfish.network. This ecosystem page kind of showcases all the projects so far that have integrated Ironfish in one way or another. If you are interested in doing more partnerships with Ironfish, you should email us at partnerships@ironfish.network. And we, again, we're very eager to make more partnerships happen. So in terms of our social, our ethos is transparency. If you want to hear more about Ironfish, check out our latest podcast. We're going to be releasing kind of a list of all the podcasts that we've done on our website already, also, so there's a much more easier place for you to go find them. If you want to engage in conversations with anyone from the Foundation or IF Labs on your platform, if you have a podcast yourself, again, we are here to have those conversations. And if you just email us at partnerships@ironfish.network or just ping us on Discord and Telegram. Again, we're open for those conversations. And then, for more on the Foundation update stuff, again, we are going to be releasing kind of a more formal grant and proposal process by next Thursday. So the way we're kind of doing the governance is we are going to be selecting people from the community. So a lot of you guys are going to be seeing, Foundation people reach out to you to be part of that community for the governance of Ironfish. We want to make sure that strong supporters of the Ironfish community do get a voice in how proposals do get accepted or rejected. So that is coming. Grants are a way for people to apply to do integration for Ironfish or integration with Ironfish and get funding for that. And proposals are going to be a general way for people to voice out how they want to see the proposal. How they want to see Ironfish the product kind of evolve over time. So that is coming next Thursday. Cool. So I think we've gotten through all of our big kind of updates. And now I'm going to go to questions. I saw some questions popping up here and there, and I think we might have mostly answered all of them. But if there aren't any, if there are questions that we have missed, please let me know. But yeah, questions? Anyone? I think one question that I saw is, will you ask exchanges to provide read-only access for their wallets to become an Ironfish whitelist centralized exchange. I'm not entirely sure what this question means, but so will we ask exchanges to provide read-only access for their wallets? No. And the reason for that is, like Ironfish is private for a reason. We respect people's privacy. For an exchange to provide read-only access to their wallets, that would be honestly a lot of overhead for them. A lot of times exchanges create new wallets all the time, to split their funds or to for their own operation kind of cost or operations, I guess. So I think that would be pretty hard for them to do. And I'm not sure exactly what we would do with that information. BTC bridge. Yeah. So right now, our goal for end of year is to have an Ethereum and Bitcoin bridge. So for the Bitcoin bridge, we are going to potentially partner with a bridge operator that is already operating in Bitcoin bridge. That partnership is not yet finalized, and so we will announce it once it's more fleshed out. But that is certainly our goal for end of year. I can't talk about whether or not centralized exchanges manipulate iron, and we don't really have visibility into that. So unfortunately, I can't quite comment on that one. Cool. All right. Ironfish team, is there anything that I have missed that we should cover? Just an overall message though. The demo for the Note app was awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. That is also releasing quite soon. Again, we want to make sure that everything released is high quality. And so that's why even though you might see the Note app being fully functional, it's not quite released yet. Because again, we want to make sure that whatever we release is high quality. However, as you can see, it's almost quite there. Again, everything we do is out in the open. You can always check out our PRs. We're always here. And there's a lot of work happening within the ecosystem. There's a lot of research happening for future projects as well. Okay, and I think with that, we are ready to, there's one more question. So the question was, in terms of the AMA with where Bitmain kind of entered the AMA to ask questions. So again, I'll be very honest. She did reach out. They're not really pursuing Ironfish at this moment in time. And there's been some discussion in the general channel as well as the mining channel of what are the right conditions for a project for an ASIC to enter the scene. Again, we are not seeing any development of ASICs. We're not seeing any indication of ASICs. I think Bitmain is just interested in all proof of work projects generally, so I think they reached out as more of a curiosity thing. But yeah, there's not really been any development on that front.
And Elena, I guess this is a question as well, but you have addressed this is, the something would definitely address, with the community, right, before making a unanimous decision.
You kind of cut out there, but I think I got your question. I think your question was generally if and when we switch the algorithm, would that not be a discussion from the community? And the answer is definitely yes. Again, there's a lot of pros and cons for switching the algorithm. There's a lot of considerations. And you guys are what makes the Ironfish community. Right now, we do have a lot of solo miners, or not solo miners, but GPU miners. And I think there's a lot of power there because it creates decentralization and lets more and more people actually help support the system and mine an Ironfish. So that's a huge consideration. So and we're having these discussions live in terms of some of the opinion pieces about whether or not to switch an algorithm. So, and if you have opinions, please go in the mining channel and tell us more about your thoughts. Where is Jason? Jason is taking a much needed vacation, so he's currently doing his thing. Okay, see some people typing. Well earned, indeed. All right, I see one person typing, so I'm going to wait for that. And if there are no more questions, I think we can close it out once this person finishes typing. Okay, that was more of a statement, less than a question, but agreed. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you guys being here. And happy Friday. I know this time for some people is not quite in the most appropriate time zone, so really appreciate you guys being here, even if it's early or late for you. Thank you. And again, if you have any questions about the team, the progress, you can check out our repository. You can always ask questions in the general questions channel or in the mining channel. And yeah, we're always here. Thank you so much, everyone, and happy Friday. Woo.